Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the FrostBytez Gaming Experience Pokemon Blue Walkthrough Part 11, where I gotta make a quick correction of myself from the last part. So, last part I referred to this as the Dark Cave. This is Rock Tunnel. Dark Cave is Gen 2. So, if you wanted even more proof about how very little I truly know about Gen 1 and how much time I spent into Gen 2, there's further proof for you, because I kept referring to it as the Dark Cave. I don't even know how long, and I was, I guess, constantly just thinking about the actual Dark Cave in Gen 2, because this is Rock Tunnel. And I think the other reason why I'll always consider it like Dark Cave is because of the fact that it's the area that you have to use Flash to light the place up. Not extremely neat. Like, this is the only place where you do need to use Flash to light the entire place up, and it is completely avoidable because it's not that big, like, of a cave as you would expect. There is quite a bit of trainers here, but aside from that, so I was bringing up in the last part that there was something interesting about Rock Tunnel. I called it the Dark Cave back then, but yeah, Rock Tunnel, you know, I almost called it Dark Cave again. But anyways, one of the more interesting things about Rock Tunnel that I actually never knew about is there's no items to get. There's 0 items to get in this entire cave. And I always found that kind of strange, because why would you not put any items in here unless there was items meant to be put in here and something happened that caused them to not? Or, you know, one of the only other things that I could think about is considering the fact that, again, really getting Flash is kind of optional. This is the only area you'd have to use it in. Did they want to have it where if you decided not to go out of your way and get Flash, to not have like something like items be something else that you're kind of forced to get into in a cave that you can't light up without Flash? You know, that's like the only real thing that I could think of as to why you would not go out of your way to put any items inside one of your essential dungeons, basically. You know, but it also makes it kind of weird in the design of it, because there are so many dead ends when it comes to this cave. You know, you gotta take, so in order to traverse this entire area, you gotta take a bunch of ladders going up and down, find the next ladder that takes you back down. There's only 2 floors. You got the first floor, and I believe it's the basement floor, you know, or floor 2. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, it's the basement floor. So you're essentially continuously climbing down and up ladders to go back between floor 1 and basement floor number 1. You know, and you gotta, until you can finally navigate your way out. But again, there's a number, it's also like a mini maze, because there's a lot of areas that once you go down it, there's absolutely nothing there. And in areas like that, you know, the 2 things you would think about is, 1, there's a trainer there to fight me, or 2, there's going to be an item there for me to pick up. But then you find out there's no trainer here, and there's no item here, and then later on find out that there's no items in the entirety of the cave itself. The only other thing that, once again, I could think of as to why there's a bunch of dead-end paths in a cave like this is because, once again, you know, getting Flash is not required. So if you try to traverse this entire area without the means of using Flash, they're going to throw in some dead ends to kind of punish you for doing that. And again, that's just me kind of hazarding a guess, because otherwise, I really can't think of a reason why A, you wouldn't have items in one of your caves, and B, why you would have a bunch of dead ends with, again, no items or any trainers to go against. It just seems a little bit odd to me. And once again, if anybody actually knows, you know, the reason or has their own thoughts on it, again, let me know in the comments. You don't have to. It doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, I'm still going to be very confused. Alright? But with that, on the subject of confusion, let's go over some statistics so we can confuse everybody as much as we possibly can. So, in Rock Tunnel, if you're on the first floor in the red and blue versions, 55% chance it's a Zubat, who would have guessed? 25% chance it's a Geodude, 15% chance it's a Machop, and a 5% chance that it's an Onix. And if you're playing the yellow version, 55% chance it's a Zubat, 35% chance it's a Geodude, and a 10% chance that you're going to run into a Machop. And once you get down to basement floor number 1 in the red and blue versions, it is a 50% chance that it's a Zubat, 15% chance it's Machop, 26% chance for a Geodude, and a 9% chance for an Onix. Whereas in the yellow versions, you have a 45% chance for a Zubat, 20% chance for a Machop, 25% chance for a Geodude, and a 10% chance for an Onix. So, kind of like with most other caves, dungeons, whatever it is that you want to call them, the lower you go, the higher chance you have of getting the rarer Pokemon, and then, you know, in cases like this, you know, the Zubat percentage goes down, especially in the yellow version, down a full 10%, in, you know, higher chance of getting yourself a Geodude or an Onix, or even Machop, which, Machop being one of the only, like, I would say decent fighting types, like, I don't know if Machamp is better than Primeape. I was never really much a person that really used fighting style Pokemon. The only fighting Pokemon that I really ever used was essentially Blaziken, because it was the fire starting Pokemon, so of course I'm going to take that. I haven't used Infernape because, again, haven't played Gen 4, so we'll see. I'll go into that in a bit. And then, Empor, is that what it was called? God, I don't even remember. The weird another fire fighting type, I know. That was like the one thing where it was like, alright guys, we get it. Firefighting really works, but you don't have to do it this many times. Emboar, I want to say it was the final stage of that firefighting Pokemon. But that was really about it. I never really used the Machop line. I never really used Hitmonlee, Hitmontop, or Hitmonchan. I don't know. And I don't know exactly why it was that I never went on my way to use the fighting type. I guess it was just because I felt like I would just get more from the other types. I don't know. Like, you know, generally for me, it's like I like using ice. Fire was another favorite of mine. Flying only because of Pidgeot, but I rarely ever use, like, go out of my way to pick up flying anymore. Dragon, obviously, because, you know, dragons, they're awesome. You know, so yeah, Ice, Fire, Dragon, Psychic, and Dark. Psychic and Dark are another two that I just enjoy using quite a bit. I like trying to use Bug, but the reasons for that is mostly because, like, Bug was always considered really weak. Especially because they didn't really have a really good move list until, I want to say, what, Gen 4, when they started adding in some really good Bug-style moves. So basically, I would really, and Poison as well, I would really only go to my way to use Bug and Poison, only because it was like, oh, I'm trying to use what's considered a really bad class and trying to make it good. That's just kind of, you know, who I am as a person when it comes to most games. You know, I'm more going to look at, you know, what's one of the worst things that I could use and try to make it good. It almost never works, but it's just kind of fun to do for me. You know, I'm pretty sure a bunch of other people would find that a little bit weird. There might also be some people out there that also enjoy trying to use what's considered a harder means to do something and try to make it that means to, like, prove something to themselves, I guess. I mean, I don't know why I do it. It's not even so much for the challenge. It's just, like, the idea of, like, just being like, hey, I'm gonna take one of the weakest things and try to make it good. Kind of seems kind of fun. With that said, probably never gonna do something like a Wurmple challenge run or like a Caterpie challenge run. You know, I don't anticipate myself doing anything like that. I've always kind of thought to myself, like, what kind of challenge runs I would do. I remember doing, it was the 25% Super Metroid run that ended up being a 21% Super Metroid run, just because I felt like I was strong enough to beat it without, and it turns out I was, even though it took me a really, really long time. And at one point, and I'm pretty sure I admitted it when I played it as well, there was one point where I did use a save state, and that was during the Ridley boss fight, because I had lost to him so many times in a row that me and Topsy had both agreed that because I had been able to reach him nearly 20 times in a row without failure, that there was really no point in me having to redo it again and again, and that we might as well save state before going against him, so that I did to do the whole entire traverse just to get to him over and over and over again. And if I recall, that was the only time I ever used a save state. Okay, so the other times that I would use the save states when we were doing that challenge run was when 20 minutes was up, because at that time, God, and it's really funny, I just brought out my laptop, my old laptop, where I first started doing YouTube videos back when I was in college. I just actually brought it out of my closet because there's a game shop that me and James have been going to for the past couple weeks or so. He's been going because he's getting back into playing Magic with some friends of ours, and I bought like 4 packs when I was down there. I'm still not sure if I'm going to be getting back into Magic because I never really got into Magic in the first place. I tried it once back when I was in middle school when Mirrodin came out, and I really fell in love with Broodstar and the whole entire artifact things, but I never really played it seriously because I was just a kid. I didn't really have any money. Then I didn't play it for like 4 to 5 years. I tried it again with another friend of ours. Kind of got into it, but only for a small bit. Once again, I think I played it for like a couple months and then I kind of dropped it, and I really hadn't touched it since. And like 10, 12, some odd number of years later, I'm still not exactly sure if it's something that I would really want to get back into, but, it's still a fun place to go to and hang out with some friends. But I was like, oh, if I can bring my laptop down here, I can, grind some Gwent, because Gwent, oh my god, I've been loving the hell out of that game. Like, I played Hearthstone for a good number of years, and while it is still kind of a fun game, the RNG of it is just a little bit too much for me. I just don't enjoy it anymore. I haven't enjoyed it for a while now. I just go on my way. I make a deck every now and then just to try and have fun, but I usually end up just being like, I just can't, enjoy it as much anymore. But Gwent I got really into because the RNG is very, very little, and I'm just really, I like trying to play card games that are different from others. That's why me and James really got into the Dragon Ball Z Panini card game, and the Score Z card game way back when. That canceled a long ass time ago, and so did Pansy, unfortunately. I just like playing card games that are very different. Like the Battlefield style card game, as much fun as it is, kind of grew old on me after a while because there's so many different variations of it. It's still fun, don't get me wrong, but I always like trying to find something different, and Gwent is very, very different, and I do enjoy playing it quite a lot. So if anyone wants to go try out that game, I definitely highly recommend it. But I've been playing it for quite a while, and I was like, oh, I can definitely bring my laptop over, my old laptop that I haven't used for like 5 years since I built my PC. I basically built this PC, for, League of Legends, obviously. You guys already know how much I put way too much of my life into that game way back when. But yeah, about the time I built my PC, I just stopped using my laptop entirely because, like, what was the point? So I busted that old geezer out so that I could play some Gwent over at the card shop when James was playing Magic, just so I could have something to do while also chilling out with my friends, just having a good time and all that. So I mean, just so crazy, like, with how slow it is, and I don't know how I managed to do so much recording and stuff for YouTube with that laptop. It was tough because, like I said, the thing that brought me into this was, again, when I used that old laptop, I was using a thing called Camtasia, which is like what I used to capture what was going on my PC, because I think this was even before OBS was a thing, which is what I use now. But I was using Camtasia for it, and if I went over 20 minutes, it would it would kind of like corrupt the video, not because that the file got too big, but for whatever reason, like, it would like overheat my computer, I guess, and it would cause like a lot of like slowdown and freeze frame, and then the audio would get off, and it was just so horrible. So because of that, we couldn't really record over 20 minutes. And if we had to call it a day, because either he was working or I was working, I had to use the save state, because it's like, well, I can't go out of my way to run all the way back to, you know, save and then run all the way back here and do this. I might as well just do a save state right then and there. So I used some save states in that case, but the only time I ever used one save state during the game was going up against Ridley, because again, after dying so many times, it's like, hey, I've already proven 20 times over that I can make it to him. I'm just gonna save it right here and just try to beat him. And I think like 40 attempts later, I finally beat that guy. Oh my god, that was so much fun. But outside of that, like, I mean, maybe I could try like another Metroid-style challenge run. I'm not exactly sure. It has been a while since I last played a Metroid game, so maybe I will look to do something like that. I don't know. Usually, especially now, I'm just more, like, I am more of a casual gamer, like, I will admit. You know, I do not have the amount of time as I obviously did when I was a kid, you know, to really play games a whole heck of a lot, you know, so I much prefer playing games just to chillax, but... You know, that doesn't mean I wouldn't want to do a challenge. It's just I don't know exactly what kind of challenges I would do. Obviously, Nuzlocke challenge. Every single time I try to do one, I generally try to do it with a 24-hour stream sort of deal. But that always never works because something usually ends up happening with either my internet or my computer. And it's like, okay, I just can't simply do that, you know, but... You know, maybe one day I'll be able to do another Nuzlocke challenge, but probably a little bit different. I don't know. We got a whole bunch of other things to do. But once again, you know, if you guys have like some kind of challenge that you think I would enjoy, let me know. I'll check it out potentially for a future video. But anyways, that's going to do it for this part, ladies and gentlemen. We've taken care of the rock tunnel, aka Dark Cave in my eyes. Ha ha ha. I'm tired. I'm going to bed. You guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Catch you guys in the next part.